Okay, hello. Welcome to Verbling. Hi, I'm teacher Oakley. Wow, Heidi, you managed to get into the Hangout before I could even open the Hangout. It was still loading. It took forever to load. Took me a
But
while.
this time connections are quite stable. I didn't. I'm not kicked out.
Yeah, I know. It was weird though because I hadn't. It took me a long time to load the Hangout. It was just really slow. 2%, 3%, 4%.
Today is
Weird.
a national holiday. I didn't know that.
It is?
Yeah,
Where?
I didn't know that. A cultural day. Um, Constitution was published or started.
In
But
Japan, you mean?
yes, yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, what is it? Constitution Day?
Constitution, the law.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, happy Constitution Day.
I didn't know that. So I thought it a normal day. I was waiting for the stock market, but it doesn't work.
Oh, it's not open. Okay. I see. All right. Anyway, well, welcome to the class. Uh,
Thank you.
hello, hello, Alejandro. Hi again, Alejandro. Are you here? Really? Uh-oh. I can't hear you yet, Alejandro. So I don't know. You might have to keep fooling around until you really get in. And he'll be back. Okay, Abraham, hello again.
How did you?
Hello. Uh, okay. Last hour we were talking about time, and we're going to talk about time some more because in this class we're going to be looking at present perfect verb tense. We'll look at how it's formed and the uses, and as we look at each different way that we use present perfect tense, by the way, often with time clauses and time words and time phrases. This is actually very important to the use of present perfect tense. We'll look at these uses, we'll look at examples, and then you guys are going to try to form sentences using present perfect tense for these different uses. And then actually in my following class, we're actually just going to be having conversation in which we'll be talking about some of these things like skills and experiences, skills we learned, experiences, things we have done in life and have not done. Have done. Present perfect. So, okay. The three classes here all kind of fit each other today, and this is the middle part, the grammar part. Okie doke. Alejandro? Darn it. I was trying to will him into the class. Let's use our mind power. Alejandro, you can make it in. Our psychic internet ability. See if we can use it. Alejandro, did you make it? Come on. All right. Alejandro? Well, so much for my mind power. Guess that's not very useful. All right. We're gonna get started because we got quite a bit of material. So let's proceed. We're gonna start by looking at the form. All right, and basics on how it's used. Present perfect tense is formed with has or have, depending on subject-verb conjugation. He has, she has, it has, and I have, or they, or we have. Plus the past participle, of course. Past participle in regular verbs just has ed on the end. Irregular verbs, however, well, sorry to say, but you have to learn the past participle when you learn the verb. basic sentence construction is like this. Subject, in this case, you have seen that movie. Object noun, that movie, many times. And a little time phrase to help us understand. Okay, you've seen that movie many times. In the question form, as always, when we form a question, if there is an auxiliary or helper verb, has and have, in this case, sometimes there's more than one auxiliary verb. If there's an auxiliary verb, in order to form the verb tense, then we reverse the first auxiliary, always the first helper verb, with the subject. Noun. Have you seen that movie? Many times. And that's it. And then, of course, the negative, you have not will follow the first auxiliary. Okay. And, of course, we would commonly, in spoken English, join not with the first auxiliary. You haven't seen that movie many times. All right. You can also contract, join. You have. It's possible to say you've not seen that movie many times, but usually we're going to contract the not when we speak English. You haven't, you mustn't, you don't. All right. Okay, how do we use present perfect tense? First use, probably most common, unspecified time before now, and that's the important word in this phrase is unspecified time before now. Looking at our little diagram, okay, past, present, and future, our little blue or purple dot. I don't know. All right, that represents the use of present perfect tense sometime in the past. The exact time is not important. You cannot, here it is, you cannot use the present perfect with specific time expressions like yesterday, 1 year ago, last week, when I was a child, when I lived in Japan, at the moment, that day. These are considered specific time expressions. All right, you kind of have to get an idea what are considered specific time expressions and what are not. We can use present perfect with other time expressions or words like ever, never, once, many times, several times, before, so far, already, yet, etc. Okay. The last thing I'm going to say before we look at examples and practice is that notice even in the diagram, okay, there's a crazy orange circle here. It has, which touches the line which represents now. The thing to remember about present perfect is there is some sort of relationship to now. In some way. For example, I've seen that movie 20 times. Okay, what relationship does that have to now? Well, you're not dead, so in theory, you could see the movie again. Abraham, does your dog have something it would like to tell us?
Sorry, teacher.
Okay, all right. It's all right. It's all right, no problem. I love dogs. Cool.
But please mute yourself. Sometimes your computer.
He did.
Noisy.
He did mute himself when his dog started barking. I do appreciate that.
From the first.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of noise from his computer.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm very sensitive about noise. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Okay. I've seen that movie 20 times. There is a relationship to now. All right. I think I have met him once before. Once before what? Before now. All right. All right. Even okay. Here the speaker's not sure, but nevertheless, there is a relationship to now. There have been many earthquakes in California. Indeed, there have been. And will there likely be in the future? I think so. Yes. Okay. The idea that this action may occur again. You can never, okay, these are general statements, all right? You can never talk about something somebody did with the present perfect tense if that person is dead. Here's the way I test if I'm confused if I should be using present perfect tense. Look, there has to be a relation, some kind of relation with the present, with the now. So guess what? Dead people are not allowed to use present perfect tense because there's no way they could ever do that action again. It's not possible. Okay, people have traveled to the moon. Pardon me. They may do so again. People have not traveled to Mars yet, as of now. In 10 years, we may not be able to say that, but there is a relation to now. Have you read the book yet? Okay. Clearly, there are some words, time words that we use where we absolutely have to use a present perfect tense, yet, for example, or words that also mean the same as up to now. If we use the phrase up to now, we have no choice but to use present perfect tense because we're talking about the past up to now exactly as this diagram. That's what yet means. Okay. Nobody has ever climbed that mountain. Okay, ever relates to now. That ever here means yet. Has there ever been a war in the United States? Yes, there has been a war in the United States. Okay. Notice when we answer here, okay, we don't have the time word ever because we've already referenced it. So it's no longer necessary to have that time word there. Okay. Let's try this out. Heidi?
Yeah.
Can you actually talk about, can you try to form a sentence with present perfect tense using these examples we have here?
Mm-hmm. I've never been South Africa.
I have never been. Of course, you need
in South Africa.
In. All right, that's acceptable. Okay, I've never been in South Africa. Me neither. All right. Okay, perfect. All right, she's using never. All right, to talking about an experience she's never had. Great. Abraham, can you try to form a present perfect sentence?
Okay. I have been in Phoenix for 2 years.
Really? All right, for 2 years. Okay, very good. Whoops, I misspelled Phoenix. I've been in Phoenix for 2 years. Okay, notice the time phrase for 2 years, meaning up until now. I could assume that Ibrahim is still in Phoenix. Okay, Is that true, Abraham, or are you just
Yeah.
making that up for the class? Do you live in
Sorry,
Phoenix?
sorry. Yeah. I'm
Oh,
Phoenix in.
okay, cool. All right. How do you like Phoenix?
I'm retired,
Oh, you're okay.
and I have two sons. They are in Phoenix,
Uh-huh. All right.
and
Not too hot for you there? No problem.
nowadays it's normal. And 2 weeks
Okay.
ago, it's very hot. It
Uh-huh.
was very hot. It
Aha.
was very hot.
Good. Excellent. All right. Abraham just told me 2 weeks ago it was very hot. Aha. Excellent. So right now it is present tense. It's pretty nice. Okay, he's talking about the now, generally around now. 2 weeks ago, that's a specific time. It was, and he very correctly, he had a specified time, and he very correctly chose to use past simple tense. Aha! I tricked you into helping the lesson. Aha! Alejandro, are you there? I mean, I know you're there, but
Yes,
really,
I'm here.
yeah, excellent. Okay, very good. Excellent. Okay, can you try forming a sentence based on using these examples?
Okay. I have been hearing some voices in my head.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's because am I one of those voices? Okay. Now look. This is actually have been hearing. What Alejandro has done here, he's actually using the present perfect continuous tense to stress the fact that up till now it has the same function. I'm meaning that this action is continued up till now, but he is using the continuous ing form here to show that to express the idea that this is an action with duration. All right, you could say I have heard some voices in my head, so we wouldn't know that in fact you're hearing them a lot and all the time. All right. All right. Okay. Actually, this brings up a good point that I want to. Why would you use continuous in one example or just present perfect in another example? Let me try to explain that. Okay. Let me try to give you a scenario to explain this idea. All right. Imagine, if you will, a little boy who likes to cause trouble. All right. The little boy comes into the house and his clothes are torn. He's dirty. He's covered with mud from head to foot. He's a mess. His mother may say to him, "What have you been doing?" Have been doing. She wants to know what is the continuous action that has made him dirty and ripped his clothing. Okay, she is more concerned with the action, as Alejandro here would be more concerned with hearing voices in his head, which of course, well, he really should be concerned with. Okay. Now, imagine the very next day, my little boy comes into, all of a sudden, his mom is in the kitchen, and smash! A rock comes through the window. The mother may then say to the little boy, "What have you done? OMG, what have you done?" In this case, the mother is more concerned with the results of the action, the what happens up to now. She's really more worried about the broken glass that's all over her kitchen. What was the action that happened that broke the window? All right, she's not really concerned. She doesn't really care that he was playing baseball with rocks for 20 minutes. She wants to know the specific action that happened, and she's really more concerned with the result of the action. All right, that is basically a way to kind of think about why we want to use present perfect continuous versus regular present perfect. Okay, so let's talk about topics where we use present perfect tense. Our next class following this one, we're going to be talking about experience quite a bit because we need to use present perfect tense. It's like saying I have the experience of doing something up until now. I may do it again. I may not do it again, but it is possible. Or likewise, the idea that you have never had this certain experience. We cannot use present perfect to describe a specific event. I jumped out of an airplane. I have never jumped out of an airplane. Okay. I have jumped out of an airplane. I jumped out of an airplane last Saturday. All right, that is a specific event. Okay. I've been to France. Okay, maybe notice that I don't need to say when or how many times. It's perfectly okay to just say I've been to France. Maybe once, maybe several times, we don't know. You can add that information. I've been to France 3 times, but it's not necessary. I have never been to France. Okay, so you've not had that experience. Notice the next example. The speaker's not sure. I think I have seen that movie before. I'm not sure if he's had the experience or not. Okay, so we can use present perfect actually to show that we're not sure if we've had that experience. He has never traveled by train. All right, very good. Joan has studied 2 foreign languages. Have you ever met him? No, I have not. Okay, experience. Now, you guys all basically gave me, in your first examples, I've been to South Africa. I've never been to South Africa. I've been in Phoenix for 2 years. Basically, that's kind of what you were doing. You were talking about something you have experienced. And that experience can be anything. I have had the chicken pox. All right, you've had a certain disease. I have. Okay. I have lived on the street for 2 years. Okay, so since you've already kind of done this one, I'm going to move on and we'll look at the next one. We also use present perfect to talk about change over time, over a period of time. It is possible. This is when it gets confusing because, of course, over a period of time, we usually want to use a continuous tense. However, in some cases, we can use present perfect. For example, you have grown since the last time I saw you. All right. This is, obviously, this takes a period of time. Can I say, Heidi, would I be able to say you have been growing
Mm-hmm.
since the last time I saw you? Can I say that?
I've been growing.
Yeah, you have been growing.
Growing.
Growing. Yeah.
Growing.
Instead of grown.
Yeah.
Okay,
I have
right.
been aging.
You've been aging. Well, not you specifically. Don't. I'm not asking if you have been growing. That's just silly. Okay. Well, all right. I'm trying to point out. Well, even more obvious. The next one. The government has become more interested in arts education. Can I say has been becoming? Probably not. Okay. All right. So we can. Sometimes we just can't use a continuous tense as it won't make sense because the verb can't really be used continuous. Japanese has become. Okay. It's definitely the verb itself takes time, and we know that becoming, improving, growing. Well, all right.
For example, can I say Ebola has spread around more and more in the world?
Yes, you can. That's a good example. Has spread. Okay, more and more. Through. It would be very common to say throughout the world because you're talking about everywhere. Okay, but yeah, Ebola has spread more and more. Has spread.
Spread.
Okay. No, spread. No.
Spread
is an irregular verb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not spread it.
No. I always spread peanut butter on a sandwich. Yesterday I spread peanut butter on a sandwich. Peanut butter has been spread on this sandwich. Okay, well that's passive, but anyway, yeah, spread. It's one of those weird irregular verbs where it doesn't change. Present, past, or past participle. Yeah. It's always exactly the same. Okay, well there you go. That's a great example right there. Terrific. Okay, and that's definitely, obviously, this has taken time. This is a change which happened over a period of time. All right, that's a great example. Ibrahim, can you try another example? Can you try making a sentence using present perfect to show something that pretty obviously occurred over time? Ibrahim, are you there? Okay.
Sorry, my microphone was mute. Sorry.
No problem. Okay.
How have you been done?
What? Say again. Can you start over? I'm sorry.
How have you been done?
Oops. Okay.
How have you been done?
Well, I'm a little confused.
Time.
Okay. How about this? Okay, look. Actually, this is a common greeting. How have you been? Yeah, and I do mean
Yeah,
over duration.
I already mean.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we often say, "How have you been?" and we do mean duration. So, yeah. You often also may hear people say, "How have you been doing?"
Yeah, I have you been doing?
Okay.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah,
actually,
very good.
this is quite interesting. Actually, uh, we say, "How have you been?" if we're talking about in general. Again, kind of more like, "What are the results of how have you been?" We often would use instead this form, "How have you been doing?" For example, if the person has been ill, all right, and we want to
Okay.
know what their, continuing condition was, then we would more likely say, "How have you been doing?" Often we use this second form because we're concerned about the person. Maybe they had a hard time, their house burnt down, or they got divorced, or they had some problems. We would much more commonly then use "How have you been doing?" because we're much more concerned with the kind of actions. Is the person okay? Are they crying every night? We're actually worried about how they're doing in duration of time. Actually, as it turns out, that's actually a very good example. It helps me explain why would we choose to say one and not the other. Okay, excellent. Alejandro, want to try making a sentence that shows duration over time?
Mm,
Maybe using since,
okay.
I don't know. Yeah, okay.
Mm, they have created Ebola since 1966. 1976.
What have they created?
Ebola.
Evil?
Ebola.
Really?
Ebola.
Evil? Evil. Evil?
No, Ebola, no, no, no. Ebola. The virus.
Oh, Ebola. Oh, okay. Hmm. Wait a minute. Okay, there's a small problem here. Well, there's two small problems. One is my problem. It's a disease, so I have to have a capital letter here. Ebola, measles, diabetes, whatever. I need to capitalize it. But there's another problem here. This is kind of strange. They have created, since this sounds odd. This sounds like it definitely would since I have a very specific time here. Uh, okay, they have. This definitely seems like it would have to be they have been creating Ebola. Um, I the problem here is that I can most certainly use creating. All right. Um, I can use that as a word, so it would. They have been creating Ebola since 1976. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Well, it would seem it's a long time, and it would seem to me that I would have to use a continuous tense in order to say this correctly. Uh, okay. Let me try something. It's too specific. All right. They have created Ebola over a period of time. Now, if I change the time phrase to a more vague kind of time phrase, Actually, this makes a lot more sense to me now. It doesn't seem so awkward.
Or 35 years ago.
Well, then I wouldn't need present perfect. Whenever, okay, here's a general rule of thumb that you can live by. Whenever you use the word ago, it's going to be simple past. They created Ebola 35 years ago. It would have to be, whenever you use ago, that is considered a very specific time phrase. And it will always use past simple. Okay. I would like to welcome Aben Ahmed.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good. Am I saying your name correctly? What should I call you, sir?
Aben is fine.
Aben? Like that? Aben?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Aben, where are you from?
I'm from Mexico. I'm living in United States.
All right. Well, okay. That's great. Welcome to the class.
Thanks.
All right. Aben, we're kind of trying to create sentences where we can show, we can use present perfect to talk about a change that happens over a period of time. Like, you have grown since the last time I saw you. The government has become. All right. You want to give it a try?
Oh, sure.
All right. Cool.
Until now, I just have read one book.
Okay. How did you say it? Put how you said it. Until now, I have read, okay, I would move just here. All right, let me cut this. I have just read one book. Or actually, I may use it to stress one book. I have read just one book. Meaning only. We could use just, we could use only. I have only read one book. Okay. Well, all right, this is correct use of present perfect tense, but basically I think you're talking about experience here. I don't really think necessarily you're talking about over a period of time. Although, when we look at these uses, okay, maybe it did take a period of time. It is very common when we look at how verb tenses are used. You also must realize that it's not one thing or another. Very frequently, very often, you can be talking about really two things at once. You could be talking about, for example, an accomplishment that took time, which is also an experience. Okay, they do kind of mix together, and your use or your intention could actually fall into several, 2 or even 3 categories at once. Okay, well, speaking of accomplishments, let's move on. We often use present perfect to list accomplishments of individuals and humanity in general. Again, you cannot mention a specific time, or you would have to use past simple. All right, very simple. Man has walked on the moon. Our son has learned how to read. An individual or humankind. Doctors have cured many deadly diseases. Again, okay, doctors have cured many deadly diseases. Obviously, you're talking about something that happened over a period of time, and it was an accomplishment. So, sure. Same with our son has learned to read. Obviously, that didn't happen in one day. Scientists have split the atom. Okay. I think those are fairly fairly straightforward. Accomplishments are very similar to experiences. All right. Well, maybe we could try
Okay.
a quick one. Heidi, back to you. What is a quick accomplishment?
Okay.
You or humans? What?
Some Japanese automakers have created hydrogen cars.
Okay. That's it. Yeah, that works. All right, that's definitely an accomplishment. Ibrahim, what's an
So,
accomplishment? that we can talk about?
my wife has climbed on the Camelback Hill.
We don't have to say on. My wife has climbed what? Camelback?
Hill.
Okay.
Not on. Okay.
Close enough? Okay. Yeah, all right. Well, that's accomplishment, experience, both. That's all right. Alejandro, what is an accomplishment by you or humans in general?
I have never gone to the doctors.
That's an accomplishment. Maybe you should think about it. Talk about those voices in your head. Okay, well that's okay. An experience or an accomplishment he never had. All right, that's fine. And okay, Aben.
The students have
Uh-huh.
finished the school.
Okay. We don't really need the here. We can
Okay.
just say the students have finished school. Okay. Okay, sure, that's an accomplishment. All right, that's a pretty easy one. All right, let's look at another reason, another way we use present perfect. All right, an uncompleted action that you are expecting. All right, what does that mean? An action that we expect to happen has not happened yet. Well, see yet again. The present perfect would then suggest that we're still waiting for that action. For example, James has not finished his homework yet. All right. Susan hasn't mastered Japanese, but she can communicate. Bill has still not arrived. The rain hasn't stopped. Okay, obviously all of these has or have with not. Clearly. So this action hasn't happened yet, but of course all of these sentences imply that we would be expecting this action to happen in the future. Of course. All right. I think that was fairly obvious. Okay, well, maybe I won't write them down, but let's see. Can we think of real quick things that haven't happened yet, but we're waiting for? Heidi? Based on these examples?
Okay. I have not gotten any idea for next sewing yet.
Okay, I haven't gotten any ideas. Any ideas for what? For my next sewing project?
Yes.
Okay, for my next sewing project. All right. Think you should knit a sweater for an octopus. It would be interesting. Okay. Abraham, What's something you're still waiting for to happen?
I haven't spoken English.
You just did. Okay.
Maybe the other, my wife hasn't cooked.
Hasn't cooked dinner yet?
Yeah, hasn't
No.
cooked dinner.
Okay, well that would work. My wife hasn't cooked dinner yet. All right, and I'm starving. Okay, very good. Well, that would work. All right. Alejandro, what are you still waiting to happen? Waiting for, I should say.
I haven't slept yet.
No, you haven't. Obviously. Okay, good one. Great. Aben,
I haven't eaten yet.
you haven't eaten yet. A lot of people need to eat, myself included. It's lunchtime where I am. It's getting on toward lunchtime. Okay, that's very good. Good job. I knew you guys could do that easily. Next topic we use present perfect to talk about is multiple actions at different times. Different times, but it may happen again. All right. So separate actions, but again with a possibility. We're still thinking about up to now. More actions are possible. Okay, for example, the Army has attacked that city 5 times already. You may actually hear the already adverb used with these. That would be fairly common, actually. Or even so far, which is very similar. I've had 4 quizzes and 5 tests so far this semester. We've had many problems while working on this project. Okay, repeated actions in the past up to now, but it may happen again. She has talked to several specialists about her problem, but nobody knows why she is sick. Okay, there's definitely an indication that she may talk to more people. I'm sorry? Hi, Christian. Hello, Christian. Hi, Christian. How are you? Welcome to the class.
Sorry.
Christian? Hi. Did
Hello,
you have a question? I'm good. Did you have a question?
No, sorry. I didn't realize that I was not on mute. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Thought you had a question. Okay. All right. Well, since I'm talking to you, and welcome to the class. Okay. Could we try this out? You want to try talking about a repeated action that happened 5 times, 4 times, 3 times that may happen again? Can you try to make a sentence using these examples? Christian, you want to go ahead? Or we'll come back to you. I guess we'll come back to you. Heidi.
Okay. The company had gone bankrupt 3 or 4 times.
Is that possible? Three or 4 times. Okay, my goodness. All right. Okay. That's all right. Well, there you go. That's fine. That's a good example. Ibrahim?
I have had traffic accident 3 times.
All right. I've had, all right, traffic accidents 3 times. All right. Or it would be very common to say, I have had 3 traffic accidents. Put the number in front of the noun. Okay. But it's not wrong to say it this way. perfectly okay. Okay, Alejandro, what is a repeated action that could happen again?
I have had many nightmares.
Oh my goodness. I've had many nightmares. Okay. Okay. That's great, and there's no problem with that. Might be very common to say I've had many nightmares recently, for example. But or since, or maybe since the voices in my head started. Oh boy. Hey Ben. All right.
She has waited 3 hours so far.
Okay. Now, all right. Now, traffic accidents. Bam, bam, bam. Nightmares. Bankruptcy. Ooh, ooh, ooh. These are repeated actions. Things that happen. Bum, bum, bum. So she has waited several hours. Is actually you're talking about. Now you're talking about change over time, or lack of change. Nothing's changed. She has waited for 3 hours. Nothing has happened. No change over time. You are correct to use present perfect tense for that, but waiting, of course, is kind of a continuous action that happens over time.
Oh, I see.
Okay. All right. So multiple actions at different times. All right. For example, the Army has attacked that city 5 times. We've had many major problems.
Okay, could be she has taken the test several times.
Oh yeah, definitely. Actually, indeed. Okay, now that makes sense. Christian, want to give this a try? Christian, are you there? Okay. Okay. Anyway, it's very common to use time expressions with present perfect, of course, because when we use this tense, it means something happened at some point in our lives before now. However, the exact time doesn't matter. In fact, not only does it not matter, we can use expressions like in the last week, in the last year, this week, this month, so far, up to now, yet, to express this idea of this thing happening in the past, but still having a relationship to now. Okay, well, we've already looked at this. Okay, I mentioned this actually last class. One thing to notice when you're thinking about present perfect tense, last year and in the last year mean very different things in English. Last year means 2013. Okay, in the last year means 365 days ago until now. If I say in the last year, then it is not considered a specific time. It's non-specific, unspecific, and it requires present perfect. Equally, in the last week, in the last year, in the last decade, in the last 100 years, it doesn't really matter. All of those phrases would require present perfect. But last year, yesterday, last week, all of those are considered a specific time and require past simple verb tense. All right, I went to Mexico last year, simple past. I have been to Mexico in the last year. See how that works. Okay, this is important. This is probably the most common mistake that people make when they use this tense. So we only have a minute left, so real quick, I just want to introduce you to the passive. Of course, in active, many students have visited the verb and that castle, the object noun. All right, subject does an action, okay, to the object. In a passive sentence, now that castle is the subject. The action happens to the subject in a passive construction. That castle has been visited. This is the construction. Notice the past participle of the verb to be, been, has been visited. And then if we want to add extra information, who did the action, by many tourists, or other prepositional phrases to show time or place or whatever, we can add them at the end of the sentence. Anyway, this is the construction of the passive present perfect. Okay, any last questions before I go? All right. Yes, anybody? Questions, comments, crazy reactions?
Last year we need to use special, like a simple past. Then how about this year? This year?
Oh, this year. Yeah, okay. This year I have been to the dentist twice already. So there you go. Good question. Present perfect. Because you're included if you say this year, you mean 2014.
Mm-hmm.
That, of course, would include now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Good question.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. You guys have a great day. And I'll see you next time here on Verbling, which for me will be in about a minute or two. Thanks, everyone.
Thank